Hello everybody and welcome to DDNet After Dark, where we play something that's a little bit fan servicey each week just to wind down after the week. It's Friday night, so we're chilled, we've got beers, we're having a good time, and yeah, each week we play something a little bit different. This time around we're actually going to be looking at a visual novel. I've had a couple of people ask me to give visual novel streaming a go. It's actually something that I was a little bit hesitant to do because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to maintain a conversation about a visual novel. Usually, it's easier to, I guess, be doing something a little bit active as you play a game. But a visual novel obviously involves a lot of reading, and I'm just not sure how this stream is going to turn out. But I am going to give it a go because Data Live is a game that I enjoy a great deal. I really love the art, which we'll talk about, I guess, once we get into it. And yeah, I love this game. So we are doing this. Hello, Diddy Ram. I'm glad you came along. I know you're a visual novel fan, so I hope you can enjoy this one. Especially since it's a little bit pervy. It should be fun. It's a good fun game, this one. So we'll give people a moment or two to jump on before we actually start to play it, just so everybody can jump in from the start if they're interested. In the meantime, we can enjoy the lovely music and the gorgeous art of the screen. Yes, this is most certainly a game for the straight. I like a broad range of visual novels, and of course I do enjoy the Yuri and the Nurse Love games and all of that stuff, which is not purely for the straights. I do love my Otome games too. I'm a big fan of Hakuoki, and at one stage, hopefully, they release a Hakuoki game on PlayStation so I can stream it as well. Big fan, big time. But I do love my straight VNs as well. So this one's unashamed about what it is, and yeah, it's good fun. We'll just give people, at least give them another couple of seconds to jump in, see what we can get, see if we can get a crowd going. Well, I don't know if I'll ever get to H scenes because that might get me knocked off YouTube. This one comes within the bounds of what YouTube will probably allow. I imagine I might not get monetization for it because they have a problem with fan service and letting me earn money from it. But the H scenes are probably out. I might try one eventually if I'm feeling really brave. But if I do that, it might be Say no Uta. I might as well go all the way if I'm going to do that. Also, I have to figure out how to stream off my PC, which I haven't done yet. These are all PlayStation. So far with all my streams, I've only been able to do PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and a retro kind of a Raspberry Pi kind of emulator console thing that I can hook up as well. So that's how I'm doing my retro games. I have yet to figure out how to do PC streaming. I'm sure I can, of course, but I just haven't figured that out yet. Okay, so we might as well get started. Hopefully some other people jump in as well so we can have a good chat, a group chat. But just to quickly introduce this game for people that might be watching it on back afterwards, playback. The Data Live Rio Reincarnation was released, I think it was 2 years ago, 2017. And Compile Heart, the developer, or Idea Factory, the developer and publisher, they actually packaged up 3 visual novels together. So you've got Rin Utopia, Rio Reincarnation, and Arutsu Install. Those are 3 different visual novels, and it's basically to that point that this game was released, it was all the Data Live games together, so people didn't feel like they were missing out if they or they weren't late to the party. They were able to catch up with the story and stuff. The first one in this series of visual novels is Rin Utopia, which is the one I think I'll play today, just so you can get going with it right from the start if you haven't actually played one of these games before. So we jump into it. It's because it's a visual novel. It's all quite straightforward in terms of how to play. I don't need to explain buttons or anything. So we'll jump into this. It'll start with a cutscene straight away, which I'll let you watch through, and yeah, we'll get this party started. Yes, it is a little bit hard to read through some of this text. I swear the presentation of the game otherwise is actually quite good, but just this, there are just a couple of bits where it's a little bit hard to see, I guess. But you will see that it's quite a beautiful game for the most part and quite nicely laid out. Fun little fact, this game actually, parts of this game actually really inspired, I guess, my approach to my own visual novels that I'm creating as well. We'll see, we may or may not, I'm not sure if we'll get up to it in this stream, but there's a map system in this game which I found really nice, and that really kind of inspired, I guess, the maps that are in my visual novels as well. Obviously, they're not to the same production values, and I don't have Tsunako, the artist, working on the characters as much as I would love for that, but yeah, I think this game I enjoy more than I think I talk about. I really, really do like this game. I have not played Marco and the Galaxy Dragon, no. Okay, so just to summarize all of that cutscene, as simply as it is, because it's a bit wordy for what it's actually about. Basically, this is a harem JRPG. This is a harem story where there's one male character and a bunch of lovely ladies that he needs to woo or whatever. And basically, each of the women are powerful kind of spirit people, and if they lose emotional control, then they're going to destroy the planet. Now, your job is to go on dates with them, so they're kept happy and they don't destroy the planet. And that really is the entire concept of this visual novel. It was originally a light novel in Japan. It was quite popular. They've turned it into an anime as well. It's perhaps best known because a character artist by the name of Tsunako has done all of the character designs, and Tsunako is also the artist behind the Hyperdimension Neptunia series, so she's basically Compile Heart's biggest asset, and they used her really well in this game. All the character designs are just gorgeous. They're the kind of ones that if you like your kind of fan-servicey art, then you just kind of, you have to collect all this stuff. It has gameplays in a sense, I guess. There's not really that much gameplay. It's not a purely It's not like a Nurse Love Addiction. I can't remember what they call those ones that have basically don't have any gameplay beyond a couple of dialogue choices. This one has a little bit of decision making in there, but it really is just about picking where you want to go in the map. It's not really any different to making a dialogue choice. One thing I've just realised about visual novels, which is good, is I can stop the action at any point to just start talking, which is good. I can actually concentrate on what I'm saying sometimes rather than stumble over all my words. Yes, the Dark Souls are visual novel. Someone should actually make a Dark Souls visual novel, just to piss off everybody that's a Dark Souls fan. that would make them furious, because then all of a sudden they'd actually have to wade through a visual novel, and we all know that Dark Souls people don't do that. They don't do reading. Even the game itself tries to tell a story without having any words in it. So there we go. That's one of the main characters. Actually, my favourite character, Toka. I really love her. She's great. But as you can see, this is Tsunako's art style. So if you're a fan of the kind of fan servicey JRPGs and whatever, she's one of the more distinctive artists, and she's just got a really lovely style. It's quite clean. Like, she doesn't draw complex characters, but she does it in such a nice, clean way, and it's always so pretty. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting her once. I actually interviewed her for a book that I wrote, and she's a really lovely person. Actually, she was a great interview. Not what I was expecting going into it, based on the art that I'd seen at the Hyperdimension Neptunia series. But yeah, meeting her was one of the highlights, I guess, of my game journalism career to date. Ah, okay, Neo. How far are you into Neo 2 so far? It is a very difficult game. Very, very difficult. Even by the Souls game standards, I found that one to be quite challenging. But I did think it was worth it. I really thought that it was a great game. No, I haven't had a chance to meet the Nekopara artist yet, but if I was making a list of visual novel artists that I would like to meet, then yes, Nekopara artist would definitely be one of them. And also whichever artist did the first of the Nurse Love games. I still like the second one because of Amy and stuff, but the first one I thought had particularly beautiful character art. I believe it is raining right now, actually, raining pretty heavily. So if you hear a bit of rain, that's coming through the microphone. I'm sorry about that. I do live in a house where I get the sound of rain nice and loud. It's good for me. It helps me sleep when it's raining. I do like the sound of rain, but I'm not sure how that's going to mess with the microphone tonight. Who's Sugina Miki? Do I know? Have I played one of his games? She's just guessing at the gender there. I shouldn't do that, but I don't know if I've played any of their games. I mean, I have met a couple of other people that work in visual novels-ish. I actually had I met the I met the writer and director behind Raging Loop, which is a horror game visual novel that Kemco produced of all companies, and it's actually quite decent. I enjoyed that one, and he was a good chat. I've also met the producer of Aqua Plus, which is the Utawara Ramono games, and big fan of them. I actually have a review for the latest Utawara Ramono going up in a couple of hours once embargo lifts, and yeah, big fan of that guy, big fan of that series. But yeah, visual novels are actually a little bit difficult for me to sometimes meet the creators of, because they tend to be quite insular within the Japanese game development community. They don't tend to talk to Western creators that often, and when they are willing to do an interview, they often don't have a translator themselves. If you go to a Koei Tecmo or a Square Enix with an interview, they always got a team of translators to help you out. But with visual novel guys, they tend to be much smaller teams and tend to be less accessible. Right, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I know I need to play some of their games. I apologize, I know you keep recommending me to, and I just don't. I've been busy, so busy. So many games to play at the moment. Actually, another one I'm just now thinking about other visual novel creators. Another one I'd really like to meet is whoever's involved with the Spirit Hunter series from Experience Inc. NG and Deathmark are the two that have been produced so far. Really love those ones. Also, really like the artist in that they've got for working on those games. They make some pretty amazing horror art. Definitely play Deathmark if you haven't yet, especially. NG is also good, but Deathmark's another level. And while we are talking about news and stuff as well, catching up on visual novel discussions, if you have a mobile phone, an Android or a iPhone, you can go and grab Danganronpa on phone now. Visual novels do work on mobile devices pretty well because they're not overly active. And Danganronpa is certainly a classic of the genre now. I think it's one that it's a good gateway game into the genre for a lot of people as well because it has gameplay bits, so it feels a little bit more hands-on than a lot of other visual novels, and it's a really good quality game. So just to catch up on everybody, what we're up to with this opening scene right now. Basically, Toka is going nuclear, and Sido, who's the main character, he's trying to calm her down so she doesn't destroy the planet. And obviously, given that this is the opening scene, it's no spoiler to say that they're pretty successful at doing that. So yeah, it's just the introduction to show the kind of stakes, I guess, that are at play if you can't keep all of the harem happy that you're going to have to look after. Yeah, I have to read the Kirigiri spin-offs. Kirigiri was my favourite Danganronpa character anyway. I'm catching up with most of Danganronpa. I've seen the anime now. Obviously played all the games, so the novels are on the to-do list. And there we go. So opening scene done, and now we wake up in the real world with the story starting in full. And this is what Toka actually looks like when she's not in her spirit form about to go and destroy the world. She's very lovely, as you can see. Definitely my kind of character. Not quite Twin Tails, but close enough. Which of the characters didn't you like from the third one? No, I haven't played those ones yet. No. Oh, okay. Trying to remember the name, or try to think of the name that you're thinking of there. I don't think I do think that the third Danganronpa didn't have quite the quality cast that the first two did, and it was a little bit more of a process to get through that game as a result. But for the most part, I liked the characters. I also really liked the way it subverted itself with the expectation of which protagonist you would be playing with. And I can't really say more about that without spoilers, I guess, in case people haven't played Danganronpa 3. But it has a really neat moment about, which you could call the unreliable narrator, which I really enjoyed. Oh, okay. Right. Come to think of it, my days have been filled with dates ever since I met her. See, this game is definitely, it's good fun. Actually, one of the things that you can, when you're looking at visual novels, for people who aren't so familiar with the genre, when you're trying to look at the, I guess, gauge the various production values of visual novels, when people talk about, high production values versus more indie projects, one of the things that you can look at is the kind of animation that they use with these characters when they're just talking, because a visual novel obviously involves a lot of looking at a character portrait and talking back and forth to it. And there's a technology which is called Live 2D, which allows the developer to actually animate the character, both in terms of their eyes and their lips and their head, and make their body move around a little bit and stuff. That technology is generally a sign of a bigger budget, for want of a better term, visual novel. Not that any of them have huge budgets, but a higher level of production values. And this game uses Live 2D pretty well. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to offend you then. I like it. When Live 2D is done well, I really like it. It's not that I have to have it, because I'm perfectly fine with static sprites as well. I mean, one of my favourite visual novels this year has been Seabed, and it has absolutely no production values. But yeah, I like it when it's got a little bit of energy, I guess, to the characters. Especially when it's the kind of game where you're meant to enjoy the character as the character. Just don't move. In order to heal you, I'm going to have to sleep next to you, right? Sounds good to me. One thing to note, that this game never has actually any kind of H scenes or sex scenes. There are a lot of visual novels that when they come to console, they just remove the H scenes out, the sex stuff, the nudity, like the Utawara Ramona, which I mentioned earlier. This game didn't have that. It's never had that kind of stuff in it. It's always been like this. It's just it has some pretty leading dialogue, let's put it that way. Yeah, if they voice the protagonist, though, you might actually pay attention to him. And this game is very much about paying pure attention to the girls. And who wants to hear a guy's voice in a visual novel, anyway? Oh yeah, I can. I mean, it's not something that I've actually looked for. I'm not a big fan of the whole, Rule 34. It's not something that I go out of my way to find, but I can almost guarantee that there's plenty of that for Data Live out there. Well, see, I wouldn't mind that either. Just cutting the guy out would be perfectly fine for me. I'd be quite comfortable with that. So this second character here, Kotori, she hits a double whammy, I guess. Two of the checkboxes in the list of things you must have in a harem visual novel, and she's both the sister character and also the Sun. So get two for the price of one. I guess twin tails, so that hits another spot, so you get all three with Kotori. And this is just two of them. There's still more to come. We will see soon enough the actual childhood friend as well. So there's definitely that typecast thrown in here as well, coming up. And then you've got. Oh, there's plenty more to come. I don't think we'll get to them tonight. There is that type. In terms of how they're actually aged, I don't think so. Not from memory. Not in terms of the actual age. I mean, it's kind of Tsunako's specialty. We do go Oppai though. That's coming soon enough. So here's our third character. She has a puppet that also talks. If she loses the puppet, she's likely to go nuclear. Dates in the sense of the Japanese way of referring to it rather than what you might be thinking. No, he also has to go on dates with the character, with her as well. It's just she has the puppet. This game has a lot of nonsense in there that absolutely makes no logical sense. Doesn't matter how many times you play the game through, and you just kind of roll with it. The whole point is to... It's comedy. I mean, the way I kind of read into a lot of this game is that it's... a lot of it is parody of the genre. A lot of it actually plays to the genre, but a lot of it is also parody of it. It doesn't... It's quite self-aware. It doesn't take it so seriously. Not that I would suggest that it is subversive, but yeah, like I was saying, it's you just roll with it. You just roll with it. It's one of those games. Yeah, something. Don Quixote of harem. Something like that. You can think of it that way if you want. I like that. I'm gonna remember that one next time I get to review a Data Live thing or write about it. I'm gonna call it the Don Quixote of harem games. I'll credit you with it. Anyway, Yoshino is like my least favorite character in this whole game. She aggravates me. But she's another checkbox character, I guess. She's the shy, retiring one. With the obvious implication being that she talks through the puppet because that's her channel. Yeah, see, that would be a great idea for a visual novel. I'd love to write that one. There, I guess you're getting close to your older woman type character. That's about as old as Tsunako can really draw. Rain. Yeah, pretty much. That's probably the best way to think of it. It's another checkbox item. Like, no one's actually ever going to accuse this game of being just pocket. no one's going to accuse this game of being something innovative or wildly creative. It's more a very kind of pure genre play. It's what sets it apart is the presentation of it is quite high quality, and it is written well to draw the laughs.
少しは落ち着いた？
大丈夫かね、シン。
Yeah, I agree. It was it had a joke or two in it, but yeah, it wasn't a. It's not going into a gallery. Let's put it that way.
あなたがパニックになりそうだったから特効薬を使ってあげたのよ。何か文句ある？
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about stories and visual novels and anime and manga and whatever in this particular space, all of that kind of stuff comes with the territory, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it kind of does, doesn't it?
それでシンが落ち着くのなら私は構わんが。
I'll tell you one manga that I've really wanted to see turned into a visual novel that hasn't yet. There's a manga I really love called Welcome to the Ballroom, and it's a great sports manga. I've read the actual manga through a couple of times. I would love to see that somehow converted into a video game. Be good to see ballroom dancing get a look in with the video games, because you can't exactly do a sports game off it. It doesn't work. So visual novels might be the only chance it gets to get a play. Maybe I'll get a chance to do it at some stage. Once I make a lot of money from my visual novels, I'll buy the license to Welcome to the Ballroom and make one. I haven't read Other Side Picnic, no. Tell me about it. What's Other Side Picnic about? Other than, I assume, picnics.
Ma, 3日も寝込んでたらボケちゃってるのも無理ないかしらね。言ったわよ。ねえねえ、このくるくるパーの具形に説明してあげて。
シン、君はフラクシナスの医務室で眠り。
容体が安定して医務官から許可が下りたから、今朝ほんと大変だったわよ。トーカは自分のせいだって大泣きするし、吉野もそれにつられて暴走しかけるし、これも全部指導のせいなんだから。
That sounds pretty good to me. Not sure where the picnic comes in though. But yeah, no, that actually sounds really good to me. This sounds like the kind of thing I would enjoy a great deal.
お前は私を助けようとしてくれたのだ。
Roll over and die. Another one. Every time we have one of these these chats about visual novels and stuff, you always give me a huge list of things to add. I actually do keep that full list. It's long. Got lots of things I got to read / play, but that's okay. I will get to them all one day eventually. Might take me a while. Since unfortunately they don't stop releasing video games. I actually thought with COVID messing up basically everything to do with the world, actually game releases would calm down a bit, but no, that hasn't happened at all. I guess the indies have been able to continue to plug along, and even once you rearrange the release schedule for the larger developers, there's still stuff coming out pretty much every week. I will check out Other Side Picnic. I will add that high up the list.
自分の回復限界も把握してないくせに人の能力鵜呑みにして動くようなアホなんだもの。体に教え込むしかないでしょ。まあそれでも助けずにはいられないくらいアホなのが指導。いい？次からは勝手な真似しないと肝に。今のあなたは簡単に死んじゃうんだから。10日の暴走に巻き込まれて気絶したあなたは
解析の結果、奇跡的に暴走によるダメージはあまり見受けられなかったのだが、一つ大きな問題が残っている。
I guess there's still some limits. I'm sure there probably would be some if you went digging deep enough in the back corners of Akihabara. I'm almost certain you'd find something. You can find some wild stuff in Akihabara. Usually you have to go to the very top floor of the buildings, or head down a couple of flights of stairs into the basement. Either way, at the extreme ends of the business, of the shopping building, there is some wild stuff you can find in Akihabara. It's funny though, since I'm talking about Akihabara now, I think a lot of the more legitimate stuff for people who are listening that may be considering a trip to Japan at some point and haven't been yet, I would highly recommend Nakano Broadway over Akihabara unless you're into very specific countercultural movements, in which case Akihabara is probably still the bigger place, so you're more likely to find what you're looking for. But Nakano Broadway, for general anime fans, as well as video game fans and whatever else, Nakano Broadway has more interesting stuff these days for the subcultures.
あれくらいなら想定内のことだから問題ない。だけど、今回のケースはちょっとそれとは違うの。調査を続けてはいるけど、
Mystic AI. Okay.
見当もつかないわ。
You'll probably like Akihabara. There's a certain level of anarchy in Akihabara that it's obviously very money-driven place like everywhere else everywhere in the world. But what Akihabara trades in is most certainly for people that sit in opposition, I guess, to polite culture. Akihabara is a wild place still. It kind of keeps pivoting further wild. The first time I went to Akihabara, it was very very video game orientated still. Before I started to go to Japan, Akihabara was obviously the electric center of Japan, and before that it was a music place that people went to get music instruments. So it keeps transitioning. Over the last couple of years it's transitioned to more anime and Hatsune Miku stuff. And it's just you're getting the sense that it's starting to transition again to more underground versions of that stuff. So yeah, it's a fascinating place to watch evolve. Ah, okay. Mystic Mystic Eye.
何か体に異変などは感じなかったかね。
特に関係ある感じじゃなさそうね。フラクシナスで調べた時も何も出なかったわけだし。
そうだね。あれだけのチェックをかけているのだから、そこは間違いない。
Keep a strip, yes.
謝る必要なんてないわよ。これは言ってみれば事故みたいなものなんだから。
シン、今精霊たちは皆不安定な状態と言っている。そして力が逆流し続けている以上、君を
指導は今不死身じゃない。だから命の危険に関わるようなことがあれば次は間違いなく死ぬわ。ようやく理解したみたいね。
No, I have not even had a chance to look at them. Like I said, with regards to visual novels, I've had a lot to play the last couple of weeks anyway. I've had to go through Sakura Wars, and then pretty much immediately afterwards I was given Utawara Ramono, and those are both pretty lengthy games. Utawara Ramono especially is a nuts long game to play through. And Nipponichi was nice enough to give us all plenty of time to play it, but it took a lot of play to get through. Not that I'm complaining, because I can't talk too much about it before the review embargo lifts, but I certainly wasn't able to put the controller down either. Didn't regret having to put that time in for a minute. Good stuff, Utawara Ramono.
言っとくけど、暴走したのは10日だけじゃないんだから。
Yeah, they did do a Utawara Ramono smartphone game. They also did a kind of action game spin-off that they got Tamsoft, as in the developer of Oni-Chanbara, to develop. And oh, hello, Britta. Sorry, thanks for jumping in. And glad you watched it. I'll make sure that I give you plenty more footage of this game at some point, and we'll catch up soon. Hopefully you can jump on to tomorrow's stream of some RPG. I might play a different one than Blue Reflection. Now, what was I saying about Utawara Ramono? So they've hit that point now where it's a kind of established franchise. It started off as an adults-only game with plenty of sex scenes and stuff, and then they went legit, and they've hit some mild success, or some growing success for the property, and now they've done a couple of spin-offs, the mobile phone game and action game as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. It kind of, the franchise seems to be following in a similar path to Fate, because Fate started out as an adult-only thing, and then through the anime and subsequent video games has grown to become a media monster. It'd be interesting to see if Utawara Ramono can sustain that growth, because I would love to see I'd love to see figures, Utawara Ramono figures. Yeah, I don't really have much of a thought of rants. Never touched which franchise? Fate? Fate's great. Huge fan of Fate. It's also fascinating to see as a media property how it's grown. Because if you think about it, if you were to do a adults-only thing in the West, chances of you growing it into a major mainstream property are pretty slim. Whereas it seems to be something that's a little bit easier to do in Japan. Oh, but Utawara Ramono is not about the cute girls. It's a little bit different, actually. Utawara Ramono is much more about the way that... I mean, it's a beautiful game. Absolutely beautiful. I don't think it's about the cute characters being cute, because it has a little bit more of an epic feel to it. That's why it's got the combat in it, the turn-based tactics stuff. But for me, the thing that was always so fascinating about it is the way it uses Ainu aesthetics, and we don't see much stuff that even acknowledges the existence of the Ainu. So for me, that was actually the starting point that introduced me to Ainu culture and aesthetics, and I've since gone and studied it as much as possible. It's hard to find much information about them, but yeah, it was pretty memorable for me for that reason. Now with Fate's got Rin Tosca. She's great, she's cute. Of course she's Twin Tails, but so probably not your type, but she's cute.
だいぶ落ち着いてきてるけど、トーカと吉野は一旦フラクシナスに戻って最終検査を受けてもらうわ。その後
It would depend how it's handled.
当分一年に居候する形になるかしらね。
Utawara Ramono doesn't make an Ainu game. They definitely don't go out of their way to do that. They have they've just worked with the aesthetics, particularly of the fashion, and also somewhat to do with the architecture. So to tell a story that doesn't really have a place in the real world, and I think it's handled with sensitivity. I would think that you could do it in Australia too with native, the indigenous Australians. It would just depend how it's handled. And of course you have to be very careful, because the last thing you want to be doing is being guilty of appropriation and or insensitivity. But I would suggest that it is better that people are introduced to the Ainu at all than not. And at the moment they have great difficulty with even getting people to acknowledge they exist. So the fact that I certainly learnt from that game is a sign that they've done something right about it.
Nani 変な声上げてるのよ。ついこの前までトーカはうちで暮らしてたじゃない。あら、随分と動揺してるわね。そういうこと。期待。
And see, after all that, we've been playing for 54 minutes now, and admittedly I've been distracted and talking, so I've paused the action quite often, but we finally have a decision that we can make. Well, that's interesting. I would like to... If you can track down the name of that detective novel, or I guess I'll research it up actually. If it's famous, I'm sure I'll be able to find it. But I guess, I mean, the thing I'd be concerned about by that immediately is the idea that, you get cursed and haunted. Not sure I'm a fan of horror, well, mystery/horror being set based on being cursed by native peoples. I mean, the whole Indian burial ground from American horror fantasy is pretty horrible. So I'm not... yeah. Have to be careful with how that's handled as well, I guess. But again, the more stories that are out there that do handle the topic of native Japanese in a respectful and appropriate way, the better, because it is really hard to learn anything about that culture. Very, very difficult. There's only 25,000 odd Ainu left, and left that identify as Ainu left in the world, and yeah, it's definitely a fading culture. So I mean, in an ideal world, of course, you want to find Ainu development team to create their own stories, and I'd love to see that happen for native Indigenous Australians as well. There was a great game, which is a platformer, it's not a visual novel, so probably not in your area of interest, Diddy, but there's a great game called Never Alone, which is based on native Alaskan people. Well, not based on, it tells the story of native Alaskan people's stories, and it was actually developed by a team of native Alaskans that, I can't remember the name of the people now, which makes me feel horrible, but it was about 4 years ago, and it was a beautiful game. It actually is the cover of my book. I loved it that much, and I'd love to see more of that across all native cultures around the world. I mean, if there is, I don't know about it, and I will feel absolutely terrible if there is, and if somebody out there at some point corrects me, I will certainly use the more appropriate term for it. But I have only seen I've only seen the people referred to as Ainu. So until otherwise, I will continue to use that term as under the assumption that that's the way that they prefer to name themselves or identify themselves.
あらそう？私としては別に他の家を用意してもよかったんだけど。シド。ありがとうございます。よかったね。こんなに可愛いヨシノンと一緒に過ごせるなんて。まあ、ヨシノを止めるのは初めてだけど、多分問題はないでしょう。一緒に暮らしてた方が何かと安心だしね。またシドと一緒。それはあれだ。いいと思うぞ。ヨシノも一緒だしな。はい。何だらしない顔してんの？鼻の下床までつきそうなくらい伸びてるわよ。
Okay, I'll definitely have to look that up. Utari.
病院よりも警察に電話した方がいいかしらね。
But I mean, I typed that into Google right now, and all I get is the University of Texas at Arlington Research Institute. So, if that is the term that we will use to refer to indigenous Japanese people in the future, then great, I'm all for that. But for now, like I said, it's just I've only ever seen Ainu, the people referred to as Ainu. I'm pretty sure that is a different group of people. There are a couple of different native peoples that are indigenous to northern Japan, as in Hokkaido and the islands above, which means that some of them are Russian citizens and some of them are Japanese citizens, but they are closely related in terms of their ethnicity.
また世話になる。よろしく頼むぞ。本当か？そうだな。じゃあキャビアとフォアグラというやつはどうだ？このそうなのか。なら何が良いのだろうな。シドと一緒にいれば10日は安定しそうね。
ああ、今の状態なら特にも。
私もシドさんと一緒だとはい、とても。 吉野と比べたらいきなり何言ってんのよ。それは
おそらく 100% 安定するだろうね。
妹相手にやましいこと想像してるからよ。どんだけシスコンなの。身の危険を感じるわ。ほんとこういう時になると口が達者なんだから。
シン、問題ないよ。どうやら交換
例ね、サロンド・ボヌールの限定ミルクレープ10個。
まあ小鳥もあれで
15個。
すまないシン、今のは私の勘違いだ。買収、一体何の話だね。そうかな。
分かってるわよ。大丈夫よ。ただこれは覚えておいて。東花や吉野の方が。
シン、そろそろ休息した方がいいだろう。フラクシナスに戻る前に体温を測っておこう。とその前に小鳥はシンの服を脱がせて汗を拭いてやってくれないか。
ちょっとレーネ。
ん？どうした？フラクシナスでは小鳥が毎日やっていただろう。
それはレーネが寝不足すぎて幻でも見たんじゃないの。
そんなことはない。
ラピュセルの特製カスタードいちごミルフィーユ10個。
シン、私の白チュームだったようだ。シン、大丈夫かね。
it takes, believe it or not, we're actually still just in the introduction of the game. It does take a while, and I mean I have been distracted, so I haven't been playing through nearly as fast as you can, but these are full-length visual novels, 3 of them in the one packet, so we haven't even got out of the start room yet, but we do eventually.
では、シンの上着を脱がせて、これで汗を拭いてやってくれ。
服を脱がさねばならぬのか。シドはじっとしていろ。
And there we have a key art. So after all of that, we finally get to a key art as well. Like I said, this game takes quite a while to work your way through, but this is an introduction. Hopefully you've got a sense of what is involved with Data Live. It's very fan-servicey, it's very light-hearted, it's very comedy-orientated, and it's got very pretty characters, thanks to Tsunako. This really is just... this is basically Tsunako padding out her portfolio with a project that she's really the one that's driving it. So I think we'll stop here. I think this is a good place to stop for the evening, because I'm pretty sure the next time we get to a natural pause is deep into the second hour. So thanks very much to everybody for jumping in and tuning in. If you tune in with the playback, I hope this was interesting. If you want to see me do more visual novels, then certainly drop me a note. I'm always interested in hearing what people would like to see me play. Otherwise, we will be back tomorrow, nice and early in the morning, for our JRP. Do I believe in visual novel streaming now? I had a lot of fun chatting with you, actually. It's actually good to be able to play, to kind of only semi-focus on the game. When I play more action-based games, I find myself distracted every time I see something pop up on the screen saying someone's written something to me. So this was fun. This was really good fun. Thanks very much for the deep and lengthy discussion. Like I was saying, I'll be back tomorrow for JRPG Saturday morning stream. At the moment, or the last couple of weeks, we've been playing Blue Reflection. I don't know if we'll do that again, because 4 in a row would be good to play something different and maybe cycle back. I don't know. Let's see how I feel tomorrow morning. Otherwise, have a good weekend, everybody, and we will see you next time.